So it's been a while since I've been out in my garage. It's been a while since I did anything on the cars. So I got to get back out here. I have a 57 Chevy pickup I got to get worked on. I got a lot of stuff to do. So as you can see, my garage is a complete mess. There is just stuff everywhere. Remnants of old jobs. I was supposed to put some Christmas lights up. Just wasn't feeling it this year. Those seats are for something else. Just dust all over the car. It hasn't been touched in a while. In the middle of wiring and what have you. All kinds of stuff everywhere. Dust. Yeah. I mean, it's just a mess. So I got to go ahead and, I don't know where the plans came from, but I don't know. Anyway, so I got to go ahead and I got to get all this cleaned up, get everything organized, get back to a point where I kind of remember where I was at. I'm going to start on the wiring. So the wiring is going to get done. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get my garage cleaned. All right, so what I'm going to be doing first is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start wiring everything up. I got the fuse box mounted in there. I got to make a cover of some sort, you know, something rubber just so you don't see the wires hanging out, and kind of weatherproof it. I don't want any holes going straight into the engine compartment there. So I'm going to be using the barrel connectors. I tried using these Amazon, what are these things called? These here, somebody told me to give them a whirl, and I can see where they would work well. They're not gonna work well here. These are just ones I had laying around. I don't really care for these. They're kind of cheap. They were free. I didn't pay for them. So I'm not gonna throw them out. I won't be using them for any kind of major connections. So, but what I am gonna be using is, let me see if I can find one here, because the box of them is inside. Where are they? Where are you? I know I have probably dozens of them in here, but as you can see, I can't find anything in here. Just give me one. I just saw one. There we go. All right, so I'm going to be using the barrel connectors. Okay, I've used these throughout my career and they work great. I did, after so many years of collecting repair kits from Ford, I do have the glue heat shrink. It's got the glue that oozes out when you heat shrink it down. I'll be using all that under the hood. Inside the car, not so much. I'll probably be using just regular old heat shrink, but everything outside in the hood that's exposed to the elements, I do want waterproof. So that's the method I'm going to be using for all my connections. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. So here we have our HEI connector for our distributor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just bloop. And we're going to put it together, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So anytime I have two wires next to each other like this that are going to be butt connected, I actually like to cut one a little shorter than the other so that the barrel actually kind of offsets the other one, the connector. So that way when you put them together in the harness, they don't have like a big bulge. Let me go ahead and strip that. Strippers, they're a lot of fun, you know, but your wife isn't going to be happy. Anyway, use whatever you want. You know, I have these, I have the automatic ones, you know, you can use the old style, you know, whatever strips the wire for you. I'll just stick this in here and get this stripped. Boom, stripped. Good to go. Alrighty. Alright, twist them up tight. Okay, now we're gonna twist this on here. Make sure you got no stragglers hanging out. You don't want any wires sticking out because it will go through the heat shrink. Not to mention it just looks bad. Go get your crimpers. Pick whichever crimp you think is the best size. Keep it kind of tight there. Push up on it like this and squeeze. Okay, you don't gotta go nuts. Pull on it, it's good to go. Alrighty, Roo. There you go. Let's see. Make sure we get a good crimp on it. Certainly do. When you take your heat shrink, don't forget about your heat shrink. Slide it over. Do the same thing on the other side of the wire. Crimp it. Pull it. Heat it. Shrink. Good to go. Alright, let me get the other one on and then I'll go put it on the harness. Alright, just going to take some electric tape and start tightening up the harness. That way I can get an idea, keep it together so I know where it's gonna get routed, all that good stuff. Yeah, I've been into a lot of factory wiring harnesses to know that some guys, for some reason, think that you want to take these wires and you want to twist them up, but they absolutely 100% don't do that from the factory. They want them running parallel to each other just like this, just to keep it neat and clean. You don't want to put any extra tension on any of the wires. The only wires you'll see twisted in a factory wiring harness are network wires, which means those are communication wires, and they twist those on purpose so that whoever's working on the vehicle knows that those are network wires, like communication with a backup camera, the fancy new touch pads and stuff like that. That's network. Think of it as like Ethernet cables, I guess you could say, just communication cables. Those are the only ones you'll see twisted in a harness. Just a little tidbit of information for you. All right, so to be honest with you guys, I don't remember how the factory harness was routed. Reason being is because I haven't seen a harness in this vehicle in so long. I have no idea. I mean, I tried looking at pictures online to see cars and stuff like. I don't see enough of these cars to know. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna actually just route it the way I would route it if I were to actually do the harness in this vehicle. This is one of those hot rod harnesses you get for 150, 200 bucks, something like that. It's a decent harness. It's not vehicle specific, but I'm okay with that because I saved $700. And the reason it's not vehicle specific is because the connectors aren't on, it's not plug and play. It's just kind of a universal harness, and a lot of guys don't want to mess with connectors and wiring and stuff like that, so they do have the plug and play kits. Plug and play kit would have been a lot easier, but I just don't have the money for one of those, so I gotta put in the work. All right, so I've decided I'm going to run it down underneath. I'm gonna go underneath the steering shaft there, and I'm going to come up around the back here. Okay, I want to come up around the back, and I want to keep it tucked low because I kind of don't want to see the harness that much when you open the hood. I'm going to keep it low. It'll come out back over this way, drop the wires down over here, go to my starter. I'm going to have the temperature sensor on this side here. That way I can just run it along all the starter wires and then just shoot it straight up right there, so you don't actually have to see the temperature sensor wire out in the open. I did it on another vehicle I liked how it looked, so it doesn't really matter where you put your temperature sensor as long as you have a temperature sensor. But it's gonna go right there and it's gonna work great. All right. Oh, jeez, whoops. Okay. Gotta get myself situated here. Okay, like I said, I stripped those two offset to each other. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my handy dandy strippers and strip the wires. Okay, when you do that, make sure you're not ripping chunks of wire off. Some strippers will actually do that, and it's not good. Twist them up tight. Okay, get our wires. We're gonna do my coil wire first. Pick the best one that works. Like I said, just double check. Coil. Crimped. Alright, crimped. Alright, go to our tack wire. Put it in, make sure you got no stragglers. Crimp, sound good crimp. Okay, give them a tug, make sure they're good. See, and the wires kind of offset to each other there, which is what I want. So that way when I put them in the harness, it is not a big bulge. I have no idea what I did with my heat gun, so I'll be right back. All right, couldn't find the heat gun. So we're gonna have to do the torch on low. I've done this a bunch, so don't try this at home. Or try it, see how it goes for you. There we go. You see how it oozed out on the ends there? That's what I wanted. That's the waterproofing I wanted for under the hood, so looks good. Take it nice and easy. Don't go nuts because you will burn the wire. Like I said, I got to find my heat gun for this, but I've done it like this before, so I'm pretty confident I'll be okay. But yeah, you can definitely overdo it. So just be careful. Just be careful. And once you see it start oozing out the edges and it's even, you're done. Here we go. And I am extremely happy about that connection. And I know I will not have to ever worry about that connection ever again once it's in the harness, and I'm never going to see it again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get everything else wired up, and then we'll start working on inside the vehicle, the key power. All right, so I brought it over to the starter side over here. I got everything kind of pulled where it's got to go. This is my temperature wire, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that off to the side, and I'm going to actually, it looks actually pretty perfect. You see right down there, that zip tie. So that's right on the transmission. I'm actually going to use that when I do the harness. I'll get one of those, you know, harness clips that just pushes in there, holds it in place. Run along the top of the starter there. It'd be nice because I could just lay my wire right on there. See that? That's the trigger wire, exciter wire, ignition switch on, whatever you, the thing that makes it go boom, 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 boom. So that's going to lay right across the top there. It's going to be really nice. And then the other one just goes right over there onto the power side and right there. And then when I get my battery cables in and everything like that, I'll bring those over. I'll be running down, across, wrap it. Now my headers are wrapped, so I don't really have to worry about heat too much, but I'm still going to take some precautions. You know, it can't hurt. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get the connectors wired in, and yeah, we're going to move right along. All right, after spending way too much time on that, I went ahead and I got it all where it's got to be. I like how it's looking. I actually used a piece of heat shrink to run the temp wire, because it's going right here through the coil power wire. That way it keeps it nice and tight to that. And I can just come right up here with the wire, keep the wire kind of short, keep it out of sight. Probably throw some heat shrink on, some black heat shrink on that, so you never see it when it's actually plugged in, and that's done. Now I got to go through the harness and figure out maybe alternator. That's choke, and what was the blue one? Oil sender. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to go with digital gauges inside the oil sender, pressure, whatever. I'm going to put in the back right there on the intake, so that's probably good right there. As far as the choke, I don't know if I'm going to be running an electric choke. Might just tuck that into the harness just in case I need it later. And yeah, probably hop onto the alternator there, get that all wired up, because I got to get this thing running. I'm not so worried about the lights and stuff like that. I can't do any of that until I get the body panels back on it, which the fenders are right above me. The body work is going to be fun on this thing, but for now I got to get it functional. I got to get all the gauges working. I got to make sure I'm building oil pressure, I'm not overheating, I'm charging, all that good stuff. So that's all I'm focusing on right now. The lights is pretty simple. They're pretty straightforward, so I'm not worried about those. I am going to be running a electric fan on this thing, so I'm not going to run it off a switch, because I don't like that. I want to actually get a relay, probably hide the relay inside and kind of run the wires out somewhere hidden. I want the engine bay to look as clean as possible, pretty much what I'm saying. So yeah, right now all I'm doing is cleaning up the harness. Some of this stuff is actually going to stay inside the harness, unless of course I decide to use it, which, like power antenna, maybe I'll put a power antenna on. I don't know, but for now we're going to just leave it in the harness, you know, make it look factory. I've been watching a lot of Vice Grip Garage, and I really got to say, he really is an inspiration. He really is. Thank you, Derek. Like, for real, dude. You know, I just kind of got into a lull. You know, it happens. I got a lot of stuff going on. You know, I got a 57 Chevy pickup I got to get going on. Got a lot of work to do. I got to actually do this and that as well. Not going to go crazy on that one. I'm going to just pretty much get it running, driving, stopping. Anyway, I'm rambling. And the wiring's pretty forgiving. You know, it's like metal. Metal's forgiving. You take too much off, you can always put some back on. It's not like wood. You know, once you cut it, you know, you're screwed. Wiring's the same way. You know, if you take too much off, you can always go back in the harness and extend the harness. I mean, it's not ideal, but, you know, it's always an option. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and get a general routing. I got to find some battery cables. I'm pretty sure I have some around here. I don't know. All right, so the routing of this wire, I just did a quick one on this. I didn't, because that's not permanent, because the routing of that is to be determined. Once I get all the body panels on and stuff like that, I'll hide it, clean it, route it. It'll probably be routed with the electric fan power, which is somewhere in that harness there. That's all lights. That's all that is. None of that needs to be wired right now because there's no front clip on this car. So anywho, so now I pretty much have to go inside the vehicle and start wiring up my ignition power, which means I actually have to scuff up my dashboard, put a little paint on it, put the steering column back in. Let's go take a look. So yeah, basically, got a mess in here. Not terrible though. I'll scuff that up real quick and spray some of that low gloss black on it, because I really do like that paint and it really does stick to everything. And it cures really nice too. It's really strange. Some of you guys are saying, hey, why don't you do the dashboard a little better, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I will in the future, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and throw a little bit of black on it, because literally the only section you see is right over there. That's it. I mean, everything else, the dash pad goes on top there. You'll see the top section there. I'll do that. Of course, eventually it's going to get a new windshield, because obviously the windshield is crap. And you can see it's just... got a big old crack right across there, and it's got that weird kind of like peeling in the corners. So I never really took much care on the windshields. I mean, the windshields are pretty readily available. The ones that aren't are the back window, which it's there. We're gonna have to bring it back around, but I mean, when the car gets painted, it's gonna have to come out. It's got a little hole up in here that I gotta take care of right in there. I gotta take care of all that. So the back window is definitely going to come back out. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start messing around in here. Really, I just want the car to run and drive so I can move it. I want to see that engine bark off and make some noise. I still got to take the valve springs out. I got to leave the... Actually, that's it. I don't know. Probably not going to get any answers on this, but what do you guys think? Should I take... It's got a brand new cam. It's got a pretty big cam in it, from what I've been told. I don't know. I didn't put the cam in it. But they recommend that I take the little springs out and leave the big ones in to break in the cam. What do you guys think about that? Should I go ahead and do it? I mean, that's a lot of work to go ahead and take all the valve springs out, but if it's worth it, well, maybe I will. I don't know. Let me know, guys. So anywho, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and hop inside this thing and start chipping away at it. Once I get the wiring and all that stuff, and I get the interior of the dash and the steering wheel and all that stuff all good to go. I just cleaned up that steering wheel. Actually came around quite well, to be honest with you. It was purple. I stripped it down and I actually did some polishing on it. It's actually a real grand steering wheel. It's a nice steering wheel too. It really is. It's comfortable. It's one of those little race car steering wheels. Eventually I'll probably, I like those sport grip ones where you got to wrap it, so I'll probably do that in the future. But I just cleaned it up and threw a bunch of stuff on it, so I make sure I scratch it all up before I put it back in. And yeah, like I said, a lot of body work to do on this thing, but really I'm not scared of the body work on this car, to be honest with you. I'm actually looking forward to it. I got to do this quarter over here. I'm really not, the body work is not what worries me at all. I'm more of a function before detail kind of guy, and I think that's how it should be. 100%. Yeah, it looks like a mess, looks like a lot of work, but it's a lot of little stuff. I got to get underneath the car. I got to mess around with the transmission mount, because the one I got for some reason doesn't fit. I think it was for the actual the 74 Corvette I had. So it's just the bolt holes are a little off, so I got to get another transmission mount or find the other one around, that I have around here. I got a belt. I'm gonna actually throw that on too. Pop that off, put the belt on. Yeah, so keep going. Like I said, I gotta make a cover for that. It should be pretty simple, pretty quick, hopefully. But yeah, okay. All right. I know everybody. Oh my goodness, what are you doing to that car? Give me a break. Working with what I got. No, it's funny. I'm doing this just in case I don't do it again. I'm here, it's apart. Maybe I'll get to it again. I don't know, but this is where I'm at. Is it gonna be a show car? No, it's not. It's gonna be a driver, and I'm gonna beat the snot out of it, but I do want it to look halfway decent. So I'm gonna do the best job I can with what I got. I can't take the windshield out because this car has to go outside and get stored. Okay, it's gotta stay outside for a couple months. So the windshield stays in. I do need it to run. I do need it to drive. So I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm gonna do this. This is gonna work for me. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. And when the windshield comes out and I gotta do a little touch up, whatever. I'll touch it up. Not a big deal. But I'm definitely going to do this right now. I'm going to wipe it down with some rubbing and some isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to do some etch primer on it just to give it a little build, and you know, because I got a few bare areas. And yeah, so here we go. A little bit of paint, make it what it ain't. Right, isn't that what they say? A little bit of paint, make it what it ain't. And it ain't a restoration, kind of a restoration. Just not a full-blown restoration. Because I really don't want to disassemble the car, guys, to be honest with you. I feel like they're more solid without messing with them. You know, you got this new metals, they're so much cheaper than what this car actually is and was. You know what I mean? So I want to disassemble it the least amount possible. Let that dry. Hopefully it comes out looking okay. And then I can go ahead and put everything back together. Yep. Fingers crossed. I don't want to do that again. Alright. Alright, so I went ahead and I got my GM connector all plugged in, ready to go. I guess there was two different styles. That's why that wasn't ready to go. I had to look up what was what because I'm not super familiar with them. So everything on the steering column is ready to go. All right, brake light switch is already ready to go. I gotta, whoop. Yep, brake light switch is ready to go. So I got some tidying up to do over here. I gotta actually mount that horn relay. Definitely. I gotta make my cover, so I'm gonna pull that back off, the fuse panel back off, make my cover back there. Before I put the cover back on, I'll probably clean it up back there, throw a little pour 15, fix the whole floor and everything's gonna get pour 15. As far as all the insulation under here, I might just buy some new insulation. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We just got to get it running for now. So steering column's ready to go. The paint is still wet. It's been about a half hour, 45 minutes, so hopefully that dries tomorrow. If not, I'll probably be doing it again. Which, whatever. Yeah, so that's where I'm at here. I got this all these wires here. These are all my gauge wires. Now I have temporary gauges. I'll show you those in just a second. I'm going to be doing a whole gauge kit for that. And this is all taillight stuff. That's all back of the car stuff. So, you know, your fuel sender and stuff like that, your fuel gauge, taillights, all that. I got to get this panel out of here. That side panel, I got to take the e-brake lever out, get that all exposed so I can actually start routing my wires and all that good stuff. But that's about it today. You might not believe it, but I've been out here for quite a few hours. It feels like an actual work day, but I made some pretty good progress. Let me go show you those gauges real quick, and I'm probably just gonna call it for the night. All right, so it's just this little gauge cluster here. You know, it's got temperature, you know, oil pressure, voltage. That's really all I want. But it was cheap. Bought it on Amazon, one wire. I'll wire it up just temporarily so I can monitor everything while it's running, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But that's gonna do it, guys. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you guys later.